Just be Jay.
1.
The Veteran Project. 4 vets, 5 vets. We are not responsible for any trauma, PTSD, tinnitus, or flashbacks during this podcast. Hoorah!
That's what I was going to check.
Yeah, probably not. Probably just messed with.
What's going on, everybody? May want to turn down the mic just a smidge. We're just getting back into this live thing. It's been a long, long time. And, yeah, dude, we decided to kick it back to basics. I am Jeff, your host of the Veteran Project. Behind the camo netting here, we got Jay Soares.
What's going on, everybody?
And
Feels good to be back.
I know, and you're getting smaller, too, every time I see you on the camera, bro. Friggin', can you even wipe your own butt nowadays, or what?
Nah, she helps me.
The bidet, man. The bidet does work. So, and sitting across from me, we got our next guest.
Yes.
And
Happy to be here.
You know how I always start these off.
I do. I'm interested. Are you going to hit me with it?
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Who the fuck are you?
I am Sheela Soares. I am the wife of Jay Soares, our lovely producer here. We met back in 2005, got married in 2007. He also joined the Army in 2007, did his 8 years just about, and, just living life as a veteran spouse as opposed to a Army spouse. But it's been, interesting to have that perspective of like before the military, in the military, out of the military.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you get to see all three worlds.
I do, and it's I recognize that not all partners get to like experience all of those aspects.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's funny because like in the I know in the Marine Corps side of it, well, actually just in general for any branch, the amount of the divorce rate's so high. Mm-hmm. And like truly to see couples go 15, 20, just keep chugging along. It's truly inspirational for a lot of people because you go through it all together.
You do.
And I love just seeing how they grow and adapt to each other because, because you have to learn how to grow and adapt to him being someone different, going away, may never fucking see him again. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck was running through your head?
I honestly, I feel like back then I was so blissfully unaware of all of it.
Yeah.
I feel like we were really young, 18 and 19 when we got married. And I don't feel like the resources were probably there, but I wasn't aware of them. Okay. As an adult now, looking back, I'm like, oh God, like I hope young military couples like know what's available to them.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't necessarily know. So he and I got married on September 1st. I want to say by September 15th, he moved to South Korea. I was not able to go with him for that first year, but I did get to visit twice, which honestly, looking back, like what an awesome experience to be 19 years old, traveling overseas to go visit your husband. Now I'm like, oh my God, would I ever? Like that sounds scary now. But I think it's been interesting in the sense of like back then I didn't understand, really what he was going through.
Yeah.
So looking back, I feel like there were missed opportunities for me to be really compassionate to what you guys experience in the military.
Yeah.
When he came home from Iraq, there was definitely a difference. Which of course caused conflict between us because he went from being like a really open, vulnerable, like emotional kind of guy that was sort of his nature, and he was like stone cold. So it was like, I'm like, okay, like when I would have feelings, I would expect him to like acknowledge them, and then when he was just like hardened, it was not who he was.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I'm like, wait a minute, he just got home from Iraq. Like, what was I expecting, But I really never considered it until now. And then while he was gone, I don't think I let myself really acknowledge what he was going through,
Yeah.
Like we were blessed to be able to like talk through Skype. But I don't think I really saw it for what it was.
I think like with the time frame back then, it's like there wasn't GoPros. You couldn't really
Right.
like.
That's true. I didn't come from I have military family, but I didn't
Yeah.
know a lot about what he was going through or what he was even around.
And yeah, because all you would see is what's on the news, but the news always fucking, they just take it to the next level of what we're actually going through, and then even like newspaper articles. I mean, I'm sure if did you cut out newspaper articles?
No, I am like anti-news, and I don't want to know anything outside of my household.
Yeah,
To me, like COVID, I was like, oh hell yeah, like just us, like I can just lock us
I'm
in.
down
I don't have
for
to
this.
deal with anybody else. I don't have to worry about nobody else. Yeah, for me, I didn't
Yeah.
research. I didn't know what was going on in Iraq. I didn't know why he was in Iraq or Afghanistan. I really
Yeah.
never thought about it. I didn't look into it. Anything that I knew was because he shared with me. And I think that's also something that, not all partners are able to hear some of the stuff that the guys tell them. And not
Yeah.
all the guys want to tell their partners, like, what they're going through.
the now Jay, when you were like going, when you were overseas in Iraq and all that, was it hard to like, talk to Sheila, about some things that were going on, what was going through your head, or were you pretty open about it?
Yeah, I think I was pretty open for the most part. I don't think I was honest in the sense of like what was going on in my mind. The everyday fear of what could happen, and I feel like as time went on, the fear grew greater. Getting closer and closer to the date of leaving.
Yeah.
I just honestly thought it was never gonna come.
Yeah.
There was definitely a point in time when I started thinking like, what if I don't get home?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, dude. I mean, I know, like, my good friend, he's still in the Marines, and his wife, kind of in the same thing, what you guys are in,
Yeah.
being together before, during, and all that, and like, I remember when she first moved down to North Carolina, she was scared, like,
Yeah.
she didn't know anybody, and
Right.
like, then obviously she hung out with us and then all the other wives, and she started to build a community, but people come and go,
Absolutely.
4 years, 2 years at a time, and all that, but she was actually able to like really find her place, and just like simply babysitting,
Yeah.
getting to know other wives, for people that were at Camp Lejeune more long term, and and they traveled to Pittsburgh. They lived in Pittsburgh for 4 years, and now they're up here in Massachusetts for another 4 years, till he's, retired. So, but it's just weird because you can't really get comfortable in some
honestly,
places.
I'm as much as I say I'm antisocial, I'm far more social now than I was then, and I feel like that I did myself a disservice in a lot of ways. I
Yeah.
feel like when we first we moved away, and we were in Fort Irwin, California, which is like middle of the desert. I cried all the way down Fort Irwin Road because I was like, where am I? This is crazy. I cried the second we saw our apartment. I was
Yeah.
just like, I left my friends, my family, my job, my school. I left everything to
Yeah.
follow him. And I feel like that's sort of like the unheard stories of like military spouses, like
Yeah.
you're saying, your friend's wife. It's like, we follow our partners, but like sometimes we don't know people. When we moved to Georgia, within like the first week of being there, they told him, oh, you're going to Afghanistan. And it's like, oh, cool. It's me and my 3-year-old. Don't have friends, don't have family.
Yeah.
We just got here and they're going to take him away. It was like, okay, like time to maybe be social, maybe
Yeah.
find somebody or some sort of group so I have an identity. But I think I focused a lot because I did have a child. I think I put all of my energy into just being a mom, which was honestly probably the best distraction I could have
Yeah.
with having him gone. But yeah, it's such a unique experience.
Yeah, because it's like you just, and then it obviously, like, I don't know how you felt like after he got out, but like even for my buddy's wife, 20 years of moving around, and it's like, what are they gonna do when they stop moving around? Are they gonna be nervous to settle? Like,
I'm very torn on that, honestly. I feel like when we were in, we moved so often because he not only did he deploy a couple of times, he moved to Korea, he did trainings in between, like he reclassed. So we did not have a ton of stability. Like we
Yeah.
moved, me and my child, like we were moving every like 10 months.
Yeah.
And like we also just did a lot of exploring, traveling in that sort of a sense. So now like getting out, it's like, oh, we're in the same house for
Yeah.
this year will be 10 years of being in the same house. So in a lot of ways, I miss sort of the traveling aspect of
Yeah.
the military, like going to new places, you know, seeing the area, that sort of a thing. It was like almost like paid for vacations, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
long term, you know?
Yeah, that's what she's enjoying the most up
Right.
here in Mass. She's like, I mean, it sucks that they got up here in November.
Yeah.
So they haven't been able to experience, say, Massachusetts springtime,
Mm-hmm.
summertime. And, you know, they're making do. They're always going into Boston. I just,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, I taught my buddy how to use the trains and all
Oh, right,
that.
right.
You know, because they're from the South. They don't really have what we, you know, what we are used to in
Hustle
Boston.
and bustle of Boston.
Oh yeah, that, you know, because they go from legit 0 to 1,000 miles per hour up here,
Right.
and you know they're getting used to it. I mean, he's just gonna always be a salty, grumpy fuck, but you know his wife is the most genuine person. Her and her daughter, you know, they like to explore as well. So, you know, and I'm happy for them, you know, because they could stay up here, but you never know. Like, so,
Yeah, I think for Jay, I think he would have preferred, you know, moving elsewhere. For me at the time, I was super, super connected to my family, and the whole time we were gone, it was like that FOMO, like, oh, like our families are all getting together, they're having the holidays together.
Yeah.
I mean, Jay and I, when we lived in Virginia, we would just drive up for the weekend. We were, you know, 10, 12 hours away.
Yeah.
For us, it was like worth coming home. But, you know, ultimately we did move back. And what a blessing, you know, my parents took us in. We were able to stay there until we bought our house. And, you know, my dad passed in 2018. So it was, you know, what an experience to be able for Jay to get out of the Army, for us to move back, and for us to have that time and to
Yeah.
be here. But in a lot of ways, I wonder how differently our life would have been if we just chose somewhere else to stay, you know,
Yeah.
and we didn't come back home. I feel like there was so much value in leaving our hometown and being gone for 7-8 years and
Yeah.
learning life outside of what you know. I feel like that's one of like the benefits of the military is you're not stuck in that same hometown mindset.
Yeah.
You meet new people, new experiences, different places, you know, there's so much to learn even though it's at a cost. you
Yeah.
know?
Dude, it's a sacrifice, and you know, I give
100%.
veteran wives, military spouses, and I give them so much props because you have to adapt to us,
Right.
and we.
Hey guys, I want to join the party.
Wanna squish me.
Move that fucking
You
mic
know you
over.
like to
There
be
we go.
squished.
Here we go. We got this big ass friggin' robot
What's
over
up,
here now.
guys?
So, but you know, like Jay, when you were going through all this, you know, how did you feel for Sheila? You know, like, did you feel like bad or, you know, putting her into all these like scenarios? I mean, you signed up to serve your country, you know, she accepted that, but like, you know, what was running through your head when
It was definitely tough. You know, I'm very like I like somebody to be there for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I've always had somebody by my side to hold my hand. You know what I mean? And like knowing that I was leaving AIT, leaving training, and I was going home to get married, and then say goodbye again. That sucked.
yeah,
The goodbyes.
The goodbyes were the worst, and there's one memory that I have in my mind, and it was probably the worst, the worst memory I have. Right, I just got back from second training. I went to go become an engineer. So I went to go reclass, and when I got back, I thought I was gonna be good. Like, can't deploy for 2 years. Just
Yeah.
got back from Iraq, so I get my orders. What I thought I was just gonna get my unit orders, like
Yeah.
what unit I'm getting assigned to in Georgia, and they literally told me, "Don't unpack your shit. You're leaving." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I just got back."
yeah,
And they're like, "No." They're like, you reclassed, so you waived that. You don't get any dwell time." We were not good.
Right.
We were not in good
I wasn't
standings
even
at the
sure I was gonna
moment.
move to Georgia with him, and then I went, and then he literally showed up at the door with the packet, tears in his eyes, and was like, "I understand if you want to leave. Like,
Yeah.
they're sending me. I understand if you don't want to."
I was like, you didn't really sign up for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what I signed up for.
Do you guys even know what you're signing up for?
I mean,
Did you feel like when you signed that you knew what was going to happen?
I just did it to get away.
But right. And I feel strongly about that. I tell him all the time. I feel like, there's people that serve their country out of, patriotism or, like their family served.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is like, I need purpose. I need something in my life. I need to get away. I need to support my family. There's so many like factors that go into why someone joins. But it's like, do you really know what you signed up for? Because like, he asked me to marry him and, I knew he was in the military, but I didn't know what he signed up for, let alone what I signed up for,
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like I said, I loved my country and all that, but like, I just wanted to, I was young.
Right.
I was in great shape. Why not go just leave, for
And that's
4
true,
years?
too. Thinking about your
So.
age, like how impulsive of a young person decision is that? You know what I mean? Like you're so young
Yep.
to make the call to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I think 18 is a wild age
Agreed.
to be able to sign up. Actually, 17.
Yeah. Yeah, I was 17,
is a
yeah.
ridiculous age
Yep.
for people to make a decision that's going to affect the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and, I think that's like, unfortunately at that age, we're so like just clouded by like, yeah, I'm going in the military. Hell yeah, I'm going to go shoot guns and all that. But, and it's like, yes, there are kids that I will still encourage to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
100%. But there's the consequences, It's like I tell people, like younger kids that have joined the military, join a MOS that you can keep doing on the outside once you're out.
Right.
Don't
Only
go.
half of them listen.
Yeah.
They get off of their Rambo position and they're like, "Oh no, I want to be infantry."
Yeah. I did my civil service and all that shit, and I never pursued it. It's like I fucking was like, well, I'll figure this the fuck out. Kind of like everything else that I've gone through, but I don't know. And then like, it's kind of the same thing with, if you think of it, with the wives, you can't really hold a job.
So I was,
moving.
blessed that he was, okay with me being a stay-at-home mom. Early on in our relationship, we talked about that. It was
It's a lot of
important to us.
There's a lot of that I've noticed because my buddy's wife was a stay-at-home mom until their oldest got to, I think, like 10.
Yeah.
The youngest got to 10, and then that's when she, it's like she's up here and she's working now.
Yeah. Well, that's also hard too because you think about, okay, there's partners or spouses that, want to maintain jobs, and you're right. It's like you're all over the place. How do you maintain that consistency with working? But then when you have kids, it's like, okay, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom to provide stability for my child because dad's, here or there, dad's not able to be consistently there. But like, then that woman's losing her identity in terms of like, she's, following her husband and not necessarily making choices based off of what she wants in her life. It's, what the military tells them to do. And then she's sacrificing her own identity to just be a mom. Like it was rough. I was young. I had a baby at 21. I didn't have, we were in California. We're from Mass. That's a far distance to be young, have no, no friends, no family. My parents were, amazing and came to visit when I had our kid. But it was just like, I was young. I didn't have somebody to help me be a mom.
Yeah.
You don't have babysitters, like everything's on you. I feel like it makes things so much more difficult.
Yeah. Now I know, like in the Marines, they focus a lot on like the single Marine, it was called like the single Marine program, but I don't know if they had anything for like the spouses, like in the Army, like did they have like any type of like courses for the wives that to like like support groups and stuff
Jay
like
and I
that?
In California, our first duty station, we did do a couples communication class, which still to this day, like crucial information, just understanding the difference in how a man thinks and how a woman thinks. That was like core like curriculum that like every relationship should have.
Yeah.
Because the expectations that women have for men I'm saying women to men, but it goes both ways. Sometimes like guys just don't think about that,
Yeah.
So I feel like we did take a communication course in California. when we went to Virginia, we did couples counseling.
Yeah.
And then, silly me, when he deployed, I went to a scream-free marriage seminar. And I
Okay.
walked in. I was the only one who was alone. Everyone else was couples. So I didn't end up staying for that because I was like, oh, I didn't realize, everyone else had their partner. But in terms of spouses, I mean, really, I guess the FRG, like the Family Readiness Group, I was fairly active in all of the things that he did. Jay and I, you see, we're always together,
Yeah.
and that's never been different. Like even when he was in the Army, he would bring me to things. We knew
You'd
other.
be the only wife.
Yeah,
there.
we knew other guys that like they wouldn't even let their wives talk to other military wives because they
Oh,
don't
yeah.
want their one wife to tell them something.
Oh yeah, the
and
good old
then-
drama.
Right. So it was like I was blessed to be involved in things.
Mm-hmm.
Jay would come home and tell me things, or he would invite me to things. Like, I did everything with him.
Yeah.
So the FRG was cool in the sense of, being a part of a community, knowing who he was working with, other spouses. I
You
did-
actually participated in some of the FRG
I did.
stuff. You volunteered
I
as
was
a treasurer.
the treasurer, I think in Georgia, right?
Yep.
Nice.
So that was, just some sort of experience.
So do you think that was like kind of like, yeah, you were a stay-at-home mom and all that, but do you think that was your purpose? Helping other wives learn
I
and
don't think I knew how much I knew back then.
yeah.
Like ever since he's been out, I'm like, wow, like every day I'm like mind blown with the amount of like reflection on how much I wish we knew then.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much more value in like the conversations we could have now, helping young military members or, veterans or even just like partners.
Yeah.
I feel like I have so much more value in that now. I think back then we were just in the thick of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was like I didn't know what we were experiencing until now that we're out, and I'm like, oh, I wish I knew better. I wish I had this version of me then. I think being able to be involved in organizations makes it better because then you're not as alone. As much as I said, like I'm a stay-at-home mom and I like was antisocial, I knew people from that aspect. But like I would imagine if you're not working on base, you're not meeting people, if you're not going to FRG meetings,
Yeah.
you don't have kids to have like random play dates and meet
Yeah, yeah,
strangers.
yeah.
Like I met a friend at McDonald's. My kid was playing in the play place and I saw a little girl and I was like, oh, hi, like what's your
Yeah.
name? And me and the mom became friends. And that was like a core piece for me. Like I had a really great friendship with someone in Virginia. And I feel like that was crucial for my functioning.
Still
Because that was when,
communicate till today.
yeah, that was when he came home from Iraq. Him and I were not on
Yeah.
the best of terms because like I said, I think I wasn't mindful of what he experienced and I didn't understand why he was different.
Yeah.
And you guys don't get I don't know how much information you guys get on like how to integrate back like relationship wise,
Not a whole lot.
right. Like I know I'm assuming a lot of it is like suck it up, like
Yeah.
I
you're
think
home,
coming
you're
home,
fine.
you don't think of anything else besides just the freedom of being home. Like,
Yeah.
You're not thinking about how your mental has changed and how everything has changed.
Yeah.
You're just like, I'm happy to be home. I'm safe. Like, shit's gonna be okay now.
Yeah. I think the thing I like to, that I cherish the most is like, the types of communication as you said, like with military spouses and like just your everyday spouse. It's always going to be different because
Right.
you guys both, it's the mutual suffering. You build that with the people in your group and
Right.
well, that we do in the military. And, you two went through something that's really tested the fuck out of you guys. And, but it helps you grow, and, but it's like a different bond, because I this is the way I see it, because as a military spouse, I'm not obviously not speaking for all military spouses, but it's almost like, what the fuck is next? How are we going to get through this?
Right.
What am I going to do to adapt to it?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you don't really, you sacrifice a piece of you to understand him.
Right.
But building that communication beforehand by saying, hey, let's get married. All right, I'm being deployed. I'm doing this. Now I'm a veteran, and you guys have a tighter bond than what most people have. You know, and there's a lot of people that, I mean, my wife and I, we met after I got out of the Marine Corps. And, you know, so she doesn't, you know, we didn't really have that mutual suffering of being deployed, being, you know, moving around and shit. But how do you think that could help other people understand that, like, hey, it's just you and I, we're a team.
Right. And that's literally the key to relationships, though.
Yeah.
It's like there's all these things that you really have to consider, like when you're in a relationship, and sort of prioritizing, like, okay, like this is it, this is us.
Yeah.
I have so much compassion for partners who didn't get to experience their part, like how you're saying your wife wasn't with you prior.
Yeah.
I have so much compassion for that, because it's like I see like how helpful it's been that I knew Jay before, I knew Jay during, and I'm with Jay after.
Yeah.
I'm able to see that progression of man, right? Like who he was when he was 16 is not at all the man that I am married to today.
Yeah.
I even was saying this to him last night. Like there's like, for me, there's so much value in like watching his growth and his progression.
Yeah.
Army days were rough.
Yeah.
Do I want 20-year-old Jay back? I don't know. The good in him's still there, but like the Army was tough.
Yeah.
You don't miss my hair?
No, I don't.
Bald ass.
But I feel like for someone who's married to a veteran and they didn't get to go with them,
Yeah.
like that has to be so difficult, because there's things that like you're just not going to understand. There's going to be things that your partner's maybe not going to explain to you, because they have you might know, like,
Yeah.
oh, she doesn't understand, like maybe she doesn't understand the lingo, she doesn't know the location,
Yeah.
she doesn't, you know what I mean? Like that has to be really difficult, that you can't always connect over those things or have a safe place with your partner to talk about that, because, and no fault to them, like
Yeah.
they just weren't there with you, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and they gotta like, and it's funny because like I'm still telling my wife stuff
Right.
from 15 years ago, you know, and you know she's like, "Wait, you did what?" I'm like, "I can't believe I just told you that," but yes, this is what we did.
Right.
You know,
It's almost like me being blissfully unaware while he was in.
yeah,
Like he would tell me things, but I never really like thought anything of it. And now as adults, when he tells me things, I'm like, oh wow, like you went through that, or you
Yeah.
experienced that, or hearing other guys' stories. It's like, wow, this is what you guys are like holding on to. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah. We were talking about this the other night at our friend's house, and she was like, Alicia goes, "Yeah, you remember how you were like cracking jokes about your buddy overseas carrying a leg back to the patrol base?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, that's so fucked up." I'm like, "Yeah, but I see it funny as fuck." Like,
Yeah, however you guys have to cope with it, you know?
but it's just like the, you know, because like obviously Alicia's still learning. She's got to see me from 2015 to, you know, the last 10 years, legit 10 years. And, you know, from the growth, you know, but that
Right.
comes with time, you know, you start to
Yes.
figure yourself out, and, you know, she's starting to, you know, see me for who I am creating myself to be.
Right. And some of the things you guys have to like unlearn almost, right?
Yeah.
It's like you go all this time, the Army's like, be hard, like don't show your feelings, like you're okay, like all of these like hardened things that are meant to like protect you so you can do crazy stuff. When you get home, that's not what your partner wants.
No.
She wants you to, you know, maybe be a masculine man who, you know, can put her in her feminine, but
Yeah.
not, you know, like you have to be able to feel safe and comfortable and vulnerable with your partner too. It's like a reciprocal sort of thing. Like you both have to be able to do that.
And I feel like that's kind of like how we feel as men. We
Right.
have to put that off,
Of course.
you know, but the mental capacity, you know, it can only last for so long until you just tick.
Right.
And no, the whole, I mean, what the, like I said, and keep saying, you know, military spouses and veteran spouses are fucking badass, because just adapting to us and helping us through the times and teaching us how to talk through it.
Yeah.
So, because that's one thing I struggle with. I didn't talk through it, and I truly enjoy it. And you know, it's like, you know, Jay and like me and Jay say it all the time. We've seen each other at our worst,
Right.
but we didn't get to see each other what you and Alicia went through. You know, like what the fuck was going through your head?
Yeah.
You know, and it's also like learning points because we're learning more stuff about us, about ourselves being out, and it's like holy shit, I could take on this capacity of things. I see things differently, but it makes me upset that other people don't see it the same way. You know,
That's a good point. I feel like it's almost like comparing traumas. You know what I mean? Like it's tough to have compassion for other people's issues, so to speak, when you're like, Psh, I've been here, I did this, you know what I mean? And it's not like everyone's story is so unique, so individual, right? So it's like what you experienced may have been really traumatic for you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the person next to you who went through something maybe less traumatic to you, but that might have felt traumatic to them, you know? And it's like that's like such a tough thing. And I feel like especially in the military, it's like, you know, there's so many different ways that like your lives were impacted, whether it's leaving your friends and family, like even like Jay, you know, being 18 years old and me and my parents dropping him off at the airport to move to South Korea for a year. Like I couldn't imagine he's a teenage boy, you know, like bottom line, that's a teenage boy, sending him to another country all alone. Doesn't know anybody. I could not imagine that. Like that alone had to have been traumatic and hard and caused him to behave in ways that maybe weren't ideal. You know what I mean? Like, right. And that to me is a huge piece of like the difficulty with the military is the like, let's just drink. We're all stuck in this crappy, you know, I so to speak, crappy jobs, you know, like you guys, you know, might have done some stupid stuff for training or you might have deployed, like you know what I mean? Like you guys are signed a contract to do something that like maybe wasn't really all the glitz and glamour you thought it might have been. And then it's like you guys bond over like it sucking, but I feel like the culture of the military was let's just drink.
Dude, the drinking side, I mean, I know like in the Marines, I mean, we always say there's two types of Marines. You get the field Marines and the garrison Marines. Being in garrison fucking sucks. It's terrible. You're just fucking constantly training, doing, you know, just a bunch of team-oriented stuff with your fire team or squad or whatever. But when you're out in the field, like, I mean, we're fucking kicking ass. That's just, you know, but the Marine Corps mentality is, you know, dude, we're there to fucking fight and win wars all the time. So even when we did do the classes, we fell asleep in Boffercock or whatever. And, but, you know, we're doing it with a purpose because we know we're going to win the fight. And, you know, our mentality to blowing off the steam on the weekends, oh, yeah, we fucking drank.
Right.
You know?
You're like, I need to decompress. Like, I've been stressed all week doing XYZ. Let's just chill. Let's have a few drinks. And I feel like that was the weekend culture.
We were taught to burn down the village. So that's what the fuck we did. You know, every Monday morning, you always just like, you hear about all the bullshit that goes on over the weekend. Oh, well, so-and-so ran from the cops on a motorcycle at 200 miles an hour. And we're like, and? Oh, he crashed his bike, and he is alive, but he has broken legs. Or you have, you know, it was always us, like, it was just all of us fighting, you know? Like, you know, guys getting DUIs, friggin', you know, trying to, you know.
They used to call you guys in the next morning if a guy in the platoon got a DUI.
On the weekends?
Yeah.
No. They would let the weekend play out, but
I wish. They would call us. So if it happened Saturday night, 4 a.m., they would do an alert. 4 a.m., everybody, total line at the company. And, it started getting ridiculous. Especially when they put you on sleeping meds and you sleep through your phone calls.
Oh, dude.
That's me how I know.
Like, all the stuff that we would do on the weekend, and it's just like, it's just mass chaos. Fucking of what guys would do because... You know, I like to go to up to Eastern Carolina University all the time, and because they had nickel draft night and all that, and I made my boots drive me up there, and but on the way back, this fucking night was hilarious. I was so loaded. I still remember every bit of this night. I drank about like 50-something beers that night, and I had to pee really bad, so I had my boot pull over into the gas station, and they wouldn't let me pee in the fucking bathroom. He was like, "No, buddy, you're going in there to puke," and I'm like, "I don't gotta puke, I gotta pee." He's like, "No, you're not going in there," and I'm like, "All right, fine, fuck you." Stick my finger down my throat, and I'm like, now I'm puking, so I puked right at the door, puked at all the gas pumps. You know, this was like a fuck you, and then I took a piss in his parking lot, you know. And then that same night, friggin', you know, I jumped out of my Jeep while it was moving, friggin', because I had to pee really bad, and my boot wasn't pulling over fast enough to stop, so I was like, dude, I gotta pee, like, now. Jumped out of the Jeep at like 30-something miles an hour down the embankment. And then we got to the front gate, and that's when I was like arguing with the fucking, fucking MPs. So, and I was like, you fucking pussies, blah, blah, blah. But that was just our way of blowing off steam. But you teach, like I say, my boots, your new guy is the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a constant cycle.
It is. And you think about like whatever you guys deal with in terms of like just your jobs and then like deployment, like the trauma of that. But I bet you every veteran you're going to ask, they're going to have a drinking story probably. So how much of your trauma is some crazy shit that you dealt with from like just being around your buddies, like.
I don't know what it was, the awakening moment for us, like that helped me. Like as far as like, but like once you start to understand PTSD, I think that changed everything for us. Mm-hmm. And I think even understanding that like you as well suffer from PTSD. PTSD isn't, just military related, and it's from any traumatic event in your life. Yeah. And then we started to understand each other, and understand our ways. And
I think that's such a key aspect in like relationships, like being able to be compassionate towards your spouse, even though like you might not like their behavior or you might not understand, like just having the ability to like almost like put yourself in their shoes, like like we are all individuals. As much as connected as Jay and I are, it took me probably until like a couple years ago when he had his back surgery, and like I couldn't rely on him. He was in pain, like he wasn't there to support me, and I had to sort of be like, okay, I'm going to pull it together. I'm going to support him. And I feel like that taught me so much about the value of self, right? Like as much as we're connected, he is on his own journey, I am on mine. We're lucky to be able to, have each other to sort of bounce things off of in terms of like, like one of us is high, the other one's low, you pick up the slack with the other person. Yeah. But I think like when he was in the Army, I didn't have a huge sense of self. Like I wasn't worried about myself. I was like, oh, like I got to make sure like Jay's doing this right, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like I was almost overly involved and not letting him like make his own decisions. Like I really wanted to like, I gave too much input, and I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I'm like, oh, like I just have to trust him. I just have to let him.
What's that good old saying?
I have no idea.
Stay in your lane.
Oh, yeah. There was a day he told me to stay in my lane, and that changed my life because I was like, I was in counseling at the time, and my counselor was like, oh, how did that feel, when he told you stay in your lane? And I was like, honestly, it was like, it opened my mind. Like, you know what? Like, he was in pain. He wanted to go to, like, the emergency room or urgent care or something. And I was like, well, I'll bring you. Like, I'm trying to solve all of these problems. And it's like, no, he's in pain. He can take care of it. Like, he will do what he needs to do. But, like, it's tough when you're a partner. You want to, like, fix things. You want to help. But I think the older I've gotten, the more I've realized I need to let him do his thing. Yeah. I do my thing. We individually grow and develop, and but you maintain that bond regardless.
Yeah. The going back to what you were saying about like that you having your type of PTSD and you having your type of PTSD, when it comes to a veteran with PTSD or anybody with PTSD, it's just a statistic. And people don't want to accept that they are a statistic, that they don't have anything wrong with them. I don't have PTSD. Yeah, I just shot a guy, it's like, I don't have PTSD from that. but in 3 weeks you're gonna be thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not a huge fan of, I don't want to say stigmas or like labels or anything like that. And I'm in school to be a counselor. I'm in my master's program, and like, I guess how I really view people is who's the norm, who's the baseline,
who's the example
for what's wrong with us. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like having ADHD, does that make something wrong with you, or is that just a unique characteristic of who you are? You know what I mean? Like, yes, we have like experiences that mold who we are. We have our upbringing. We have our genetic factors that, you know, come from, you know, family line. But like at the end of the day, like, you are who you are. So like, if you have PTSD, I don't feel like that's something wrong with you, right? Like it's how your body has learned to react to the experiences that you've had. But I don't think that means there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, no, and like I know, like I do have like crazy fucking anxiety, and which is a form of PTSD and all that. And you try to, with my anxiety, I put it into more of problem solving than anything, trying to figure out what the fucking issue is, because I've learned that if I if I follow the path of the anxiety, it's just going to depress the fuck out of you. So trying to counter it by trying to be like, okay, well, maybe I'll do this different. You know, like, I mean, I just recently left the CVMA. Had crazy anxiety about it.
Do you feel better after being able to like,
One
was the buildup of thinking about it causing so much anxiety that like you felt some sort of relief when you were able to like just be honest and say, you know what, I need to, you know, focus on me, or whatever your reasoning was?
Yes, 100%. Like last Sunday when I turned my patch in, I got back home and I looked at Alicia and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I feel really different right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I just was like more talkative and stuff like that. And my anxiety side of it, because I was on the fence about it for so long. And to finally just do it, it was ripping me apart that I wasn't doing it, because I understood the consequences. I understood, you know, what happens when you know, something that I give 12 years of my life to. Just gone, just like that. And I was having a hard time accepting it. I am glad that I did it, because now I can move forward with my life, because I've grown up. I want to do more for veterans. And I don't know, it's like right now I know with me, my direction that I want to go, I don't know yet. But I'm trying to problem solve that.
Yeah, working towards it.
But I don't have crazy anxiety like how I did.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of anxiety is like the buildup of thinking about something.
Yes.
And a lot of times you're able to get rid of your anxiety by just doing it, by overcoming it.
Yeah.
There was like a saying that I saw recently that like really changed things for me. And it was the antidote to anxiety is action. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so much of your anxiety is like, oh, I fear this is going to happen. This is going to happen. But like when you actually experience it, it's like, I survived, you know?
So I remember before I went out to Montana, my anxiety was through the roof, because everything was out of my hands. I had zero control of it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, these flights, they're going to suck. I don't know anybody. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. And sure enough, I had the best time of my life. Like,
honestly, community is key.
Yeah.
I was not the type of person that would have ever said that. Like when Jay met me, like like I said earlier, I was very like to myself, didn't want to socialize. I just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I've so many experiences of like finding community, like we were talking about like FRGs, or like while you're in, like finding other people in similar circumstances, you know, was helpful. So then you're not alone. But like since he's been out, the amount of veteran organizations that we have, you know, experienced, like participated with or supported, like that has been so crucial to both of us. Like the Heroes in Transition couples retreats were, you know, really great at being able to help us reconnect from a civilian standpoint. So we did couples retreats while he was in the military, which, you know, I agree, like, also influenced us being able to stay together and be as strong as we are, because we started doing that while he was in. But to be able to have that on the outside as well, ran by a group of people that understand, you know, the struggles of being a veteran couple or a military couple. The CVMA gave him that brotherhood that you guys all have while you're in, you know, being able to have people that have similar experiences and having the, you know, the interest of having motorcycles. I've taught classes with Wounded Warrior Project. I was teaching flower arranging classes during COVID. And then, you know, the woman that was running the classes with me, she was like, hey, she was like, your husband's a vet. Like, you guys can participate in this stuff. So instead of just teaching, we started doing Wounded Warrior events. We just went snowboarding with Home Base. You know, meeting Wade and, you know, you guys getting involved in Project Refit. Like, that I think is so key, because how many, like, veterans, like, get out and they're like, all right, like, I'm surrounded by civilians who don't get what I've been through. Maybe they weren't with their partner beforehand, so maybe their partner doesn't even get it. What's that guy supposed to do? Just, like, sit with it? Like, all right, cool. Like, you know, I can't, you know, tell my friends because they don't get it. I can't tell my spouse, she doesn't get it, you know? Like, I feel like there's so much value in community.
I think that, like, what I've learned, you know, since within the CVMA, you know, about myself, about the different organizations, and it's like, it's almost like a test, you know, for me. And to put everything that I've done over the last 12 years to help veterans, now I'm going to put it into myself.
That's good.
To help me, because I've been obviously put other people before myself, and now it's just, hey, let's utilize this. Let's fucking
put the tools to work.
I'm sure I learned this quote from our good friend Wade. But
he's a quote guy, right?
He is a wicked quote guy.
He has the best quotes, the best. Anyway, you can't pour from an empty glass. You know, and I was told that also, not in that same quote, but from John Alexander from Heroes. He told me, he's like, dude, you're trying to help everybody around you, but yourself. He goes, you know, you can't help everybody if you don't help yourself first. And I was like, damn. And I didn't even realize I was on the brink of explosion. Like, and my entire life got turned upside down once I realized, like, holy shit, I need to take a minute and, like, fix myself, get myself right. And that's when I went to home base and everything. But, like, literally, like, I was so busy and so consumed with trying to help everybody else around me without getting myself right. You know, and then now realizing, now that I am right, I'm that much stronger to help others.
Right.
You know.
Dude. And that's like how I feel. It's like I've gained some strength by helping. Now I'm going to build more strength by building myself.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's something that, like, I'm a goal-driven person, and you know, that's my goal, is to take all these years of experience and finally put it to work. To see,
you deserve that. You owe it to yourself. You know.
And you guys saw. I mean, people that are watching, you know, if there's CVMA people watching, but I love the CVMA. I broke my balls off for the CVMA. Would I do it again? Yeah. Because I loved it. I loved the outcome of it. And, you know, I want people to feel that as well that are still within the CVMA. It's like, you know, as they always say, the simple fucking quote, not by Wade, what you put into it, you get out of it. So,
100%.
and just all the, like, the work that I put into myself on the Montana retreat, you know, because people are like, oh, you're going on vacation. I'm like, I'm not going on vacation, dude. I'm going to work.
But
Like, I'm working on myself. Like, I'm thinking about myself. And and the CVMA, that was the crossroads. That was something that I was thinking very heavily and deeply about while I was up in Montana.
Going away sort of help give you that clarity of, okay, I need to like step back from other things and like work on yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's like giving back to vets and working with Project Refit. Like, yeah, I'm still involved, but it's a more controllable setting.
Yeah.
So, and smaller. That's the biggest thing for me. So, but it's I don't know. Life is a beautiful thing, man. And recently I'm still gonna talk like I am still in the CVMA, but we lost a brother. Fucking Dave Munsters, Chops.
R.I.P.
And he was a fucking great human being, and there's a lot of memories that we have had with them, with Dave. And I was just saying to a member last night that I still feel like he's here. And this grieving of him not being around, I think this is a really hard hit on, Mass 2 too. Like I said, I'm not talking like I'm in, but this was my brother that I met through the CVMA, and we created such a great fucking bond. Shared so many stories, drunken nights, tears, beating the fucking living shit out of each other. His wife breaking us up all the time, and oh my god. And to just not have him here, it fucking, like, this one's hurt a lot. And I don't know if like my scatterbrain's been happening because of my grieving and everything kind of
hits and like the randomest ways.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But he was a great person, and we're gonna be laying him to rest Wednesday. And and one quick thing for the viewers and all that shit. So Dave is the guy that back when him and I first met in 2013, I said something pretty fucked up to him, and I kind of discredited his service. Me being infantry and him being in the, being a crew chief in the Black Hawk and all that. He said to me, he's like, yeah, I'm a crew chief pilot. And I'm like, oh, cool. Or not pilot, whatever the fuck it is. I don't know the lingo. So he's like, yeah, I got to go to a VA appointment. I go, what the fuck for? I was like, he didn't do a fucking thing. He flew around, I didn't know it bothered him for fucking 10 years or whatever. And, but by finding out that it did bother him is the reason why the Veteran Project started.
Yeah.
To learn more about people's stories.
It goes back to what I was saying about like it maybe that he was going through some stuff based off of what he experienced, and maybe to him that was heavy.
Yeah.
And maybe to you it wasn't as heavy as what you went through.
Yeah.
But I think that's such a good point, like in terms of the Veteran Project, because how many of these, people have you had here to, talk to that you're like, wow, like now that I sort of get a little bit more background into like what's in your head, what you've experienced, and how that impacts how you behave, you get such a better like clarification on who somebody is. I'm like I don't do small talk. I want to know, why are you the way that you are, so that I know how to interact with you.
Yeah, dude. This is because of fucking Dave. And I remember last winter I just felt guilty, even though I had to sit down with him and all that shit. And I remember I texted him. I'm like, dude, I started this podcast because of you. Now I'm learning other people's stories, and I am accepting it. I'm putting my own ego and pride and all this other bullshit aside to learn. And that's really what the start of this Veteran Project is for me to get an understanding on veterans.
Yeah, they all have their own story.
Yep.
I think that's a thing too that probably goes unspoken for a lot of veterans, and the biggest problem we have in the veteran community is veteran suicide. And I think a lot of the trauma that goes unspoken is a main cause of that. And I think some veterans are probably out there discrediting their own service
Yeah.
You know, not understanding why they are the way they are. But like I tell people straight up, I did 2 tours
Yeah.
to combat zones, never had to fire a single round,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Highly grateful. I see what you know, the effects of war, being face to face with people. Like I've seen people change. I know what it does to people, and but there was definitely a different thing that like I had to deal with my own shit over there.
Yeah.
And I talk about it all the time. I think the unknown, like always being at the ready, and not knowing what was gonna happen when I did face that conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that anxiety leading up to, okay,
Yep.
I'm anxious, I'm waiting, I'm ready, I'm ready, but you never get to
Yeah.
meet your fear, like the whole anxiety thing. Like anxiety goes away when you
So
Yeah.
I think a lot
Experience.
of people don't even realize like they trained up for that moment and it never happened.
Yeah.
You know, so what does that do?
Yeah. Yeah. What does that do
know?
to the
Yeah.
person that like?
Because like by all means,
This is what I'm
not
taught.
trying to compare my trauma to yours. I know
Yeah.
you guys like kicked indoors and fucking did the real shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Faced the firefights.
And
You
like
know, had bullets whizzing by your head. But
what you joined to do, what you know from being on the outside and before, that's something that I can never compare to, with anybody else that's never fired around or whatever, because unfortunately I just know the one way. I can imagine it's like just getting the rug taken right out from underneath you,
oh yeah. I mean,
yeah, you're in that whole fight or flight. You're like constantly ready to fight.
Yeah. And it's like you never had your time to play.
I
right.
feel like
Yeah, to
even,
test
that
it,
lingers
you know?
as a veteran too, because I feel like even for him, like there are times where I'm like, you're safe.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna happen, and maybe I'm naive
Yeah.
because I wasn't trained to be aware of danger.
Yeah.
I feel like the trainings that you guys have implements in your head, people are coming after you.
Yeah.
You need to defend yourself and protect the people around you.
Yes.
And
At
I
all
think
times.
he holds that value still to this day in the home he's been in for 10 years where he's safe.
We're always like, I know, like with me, I know I'm always on the guard. Fucking, I'm always ready to defend myself, and it's like Mad Dog Mattis, his famous quote: "Have a plan to kill everybody you meet."
Jeez.
Yeah, but like I don't think like that, But like if push comes to shove, absolutely, I'm fucking. You're coming down with me. So,
Right.
but that's just like how we're taught to always just be on the alert and have the situational awareness. That's what guys have a hard time like going into public with. Like last night at my wife's show, I just couldn't not fucking stand still
Yeah.
because like there was a lot of people moving around. Fucking, I don't go out often, but still, I was like uncomfortable in a way. But it's just you're around strangers, and it's like we just gotta accept, like, hey, dude, you are okay.
Yeah. Think about the age that you're taught this stuff.
Yeah,
You don't even get your prefrontal cortex till you're like 25, and I think I read something yesterday that it says 27 in men. Imagine you're molding your brain to be in constant awareness of danger and threat
yeah,
at 18, 19, 20, 21.
yeah,
That's going to be instilled in your brain. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, how do you reverse that? How do you tell yourself, no,
Yeah.
everything is wonderful and it's just love everywhere? Because, like, the reality of the world is like, that's not the reality for everybody.
no,
Like, my mentality, I'm very like, oh, everything's rainbow and sunshines and love. Like, I want to feel positive about
Yeah.
things. And I try to be like, no, like, nothing bad's going to happen. Like, we're okay, It's tough.
always on the alert, man. And that's unfortunately the society that we have to live in. Everyone's in it for themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and
Well, that's tough too, because I feel like I'm a pretty firm believer in like the whole existentialism of like your life is your life to live.
Yeah.
You might find people along the way that you love wholeheartedly and they're so important and crucial in your life, but at the end of the day, you know you.
yeah,
You don't know everyone. I've been with him for more of my life than not, but
yeah,
I don't know his complete insides. I don't know every thought in his brain, or you know what I mean? Like, you take care of you. At the end of the day, all you really have is you, regardless of the people around you, you know?
Yeah.
There's so much value in, like, taking care of yourself, you know?
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, we had some technical difficulties earlier with the live. It was glitching out of control. So this is actually a recording.
Oh,
That we're
you
gonna have
recorded?
to post. I did record it. But thank you, baby, for coming on.
You got it.
Appreciate
yeah.
you always.
killed
And
it.
next week we'll be off.
Yes.
I'll be up enjoying the mountain range.
I don't know who's next.
And yeah, we got to get some new guests in here. So if you're a guest that would like to be on the show, please contact myself or Jeff,
Yeah.
and we'll
can
get
still
you on
call
here.
me Johnny Cash, man.
Oh, you're always Johnny Cash to me. I know, it kind of feels weird calling you Jeff. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to cut. Yeah. But, yeah, every veteran has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. So,
Fuck yeah.
reach out and be a part of our show.
Hell yeah. Hey, thank you all for tuning in. And I'll stay tuned for our next episode drop. Because we're going to just post this today, video. Okay? Still recording. But we're going to post this today. But we got one more recording coming up with our Jag. So the dude's a fucking badass. I had a great conversation with him. So got to learn some stuff that I wish I knew back then. So.
You know, there's got to be some, like, really unique stories out there, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, I love it. So, well, thank you, Sheila, for coming on. You're the best.
Thanks.
And we'll catch you all next time on the Veteran Project. Peace.
The Veteran Project. 4 vets, 5 vets. We are not responsible for any trauma, PTSD, tinnitus, or flashbacks during this